some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Good morning, everyone. I decided to be Judge Mommy today from the Darrell Brooks trial, mostly because I didn't want to be Judge Bev. But in hilarious Mo fashion, look, I blame my Appalachian Hoosier roots, but I desperately wanted a Polar Pop this morning. And I was halfway out of the door when I realized I am dressed in a judge robe, a Cher wig, and red glasses, and decided to just stay home. Because, I figured having to explain it to the really nice gas station person and everyone else would be a little bit much for my inside cat personality. But I had to rewatch because I couldn't remember what rule she kept citing, and I have suddenly the desire to go watch the Darrell Brooks case again, dressed up as Judge Mommy, but telling him exactly what we wish she would have said. Because rewatching it, I remember bailiff, just give me a chance. Bailiff wish he would. If Judge Mommy had said, hey, I'm gonna need you to take Mr. Brooks out, expeditiously. This man was waiting for a chance. But it was 9611, so I did have to watch this morning. Because I could not remember for the life of me what the number of the specific court rule of procedure she was using. And I know it's going to be shocking to you, but I've watched so many cases that I can't remember the specifics of all of them. That being said, we do have some news, and I do have some clips of the infamous and ridiculous Darrell Brooks to end this out. I will warn you guys, buckle up. Basically, everything on this particular stream is going to be either what in the Walmart rapture or we are in the end times. Like, basically every single story could have just been in final form Jesus today and, name and shame. Our first story is that hurricane hunters who typically do, measurements and sort of scientifical things, they fly into hurricanes and kind of get a lot of documentation for meteorologists. They could not even fly through Melissa because of how powerful it's become. So definitely, we need to, if you are on the East Coast and anywhere within where this might be possibly landing, please take, precautions. Please don't try to ride it out if people are telling you not to. I know we generally don't trust the government, but maybe if they're telling you to haul ass to Lollapalooza and get the hell out, just do that, please. Please, I want everyone to be safe. I don't want anyone to say they didn't hear it from me. So get out of the way. The U.S. Air Force Reserve's 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, known as the Hurricane Hunters, encountered heavier than normal turbulence while flying into the eye of Hurricane Melissa on Tuesday morning and were forced to turn back. Now the team is returning to its operating location in Curaçao after experiencing forces stronger than normal that warranted a safety inspection before they could continue. Now the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron wrote on social media. Now, a similar story arose on Monday when the Hurricane Hunter's flight left the storm early after experiencing severe turbulence on Monday as well. So this is all coming from the National Hurricane Center. Now, despite being forced to return once on Monday, the Air Force shared jaw-dropping video as the hurricane hunters did fly into the eye of the storm multiple times over the course of the day. Now, Melissa has a well-defined 10 nautical mile wide eye, according to the NHC. Now, U.S. Air Force Reservist 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, they did fly into, Monday and were able to collect data. Now, it was expected to hit Jamaica yesterday and is forecasted to be one of the worst storms in the island's history. I do believe that it's heading towards Cuba right now. But again, keep posted with Ryan Hall, max velocity, all of this. So, keep up with people that are much more meteorologically smarter than me, and stay safe. If you can, get out of the area, do safely. If you can, prepare as much as you can, please do. I just don't want to have any of my subscribers, anyone, subscriber or not, have to deal with the pain that people from Helene are still dealing with. So if we know this, if we're forewarned, please take, all smartish, things that you're given and use that to form a plan so we don't have to have anything. And that's right, JKD Buck. Now, I say Ryan Hall, y'all, but I also like max velocity. I am a nerd about the weather. I do love that. So now, I don't know how we prepare for this one, y'all. Like I said, basically this entire stream is going to be what in the Walmart rapture. A truck hauling quote unquote aggressive monkeys thought to carry hepatitis C, herpes, and possibly the coof overturned in Mississippi with at least one on the loose. Well, I didn't have the snack apocalypse, and I also didn't have mutant aggressive monkeys in Georgia. But there you go. If you had that on your bingo card, go buy a lotto ticket. A truck hauling quote unquote aggressive monkeys thought to be carrying hepatitis C because, why not? Why not have a bunch of aggressive monkeys carrying hepatitis C, the herp, and, the coof, overturned in Mississippi with at least one getting on the loose, according to authorities. Now, the truck was loaded with rhesus monkeys when it crashed on Interstate 59 north of Heidelberg on Tuesday. Now, it was transporting the monkeys to a testing facility in Florida, Connecticut news outlet WFSB reported. Now, the Jasper County Sheriff, Randy Jackson, told local outlet WAPT that 21 monkeys on the truck and 6 of them have escaped. So they said at least one. Well, 6 would be at least one. I'm glad that we figured this out. Now, the monkey that got away actually crossed the interstate and went out into a wooded area. Oh, so at least 6 of them got out of there. They were able to capture them. And one is now starting his own, I guess, monkey apocalypse. I mean, where is Brad Pitt and, I'm Bruce Willis when you need him. So this is how Planet of the Apes started. What is this timeline? Now, the Sheriff's Department initially said in Facebook posts that the monkeys did pose potential health threats. The driver of the truck told local law enforcement that the monkeys were dangerous and posed threats to humans. We took the appropriate actions after being given that information from the person transporting the monkeys. He also stated that you have to wear PPE equipment to handle the monkeys. Now, authorities say the truck was handling monkeys from Tulane University, and the university told The Independent that the monkeys left Tulane National Biomedical Research Center in Covington, Louisiana, and were traveling to a non-Tulane affiliated location. Can we stop testing things on monkeys? Have we not seen in the last, 5 years, how's that's been really craptastic? Could we stop this? I mean, maybe, just maybe, we could have a pattern, we could notice it, and unlike the people in Jurassic Park movies, we could say, oh my God, those scientists did that thing and it turned out really bad. Let's create a new park. No, how about we don't create a new park? How about we stop this practice? I mean, I'm just a crazy person that dresses up as people on the internet, but if I can notice, patterns of things that seem to, hit us in the face like a, you know, pile of poo, I mean, maybe, just maybe the smart people that are in charge of us would do something. But no, now we have rabid, herp-infested monkeys on the loose. Okay, monkey, but I don't trust them that they got all the monkeys. Now, the primates in question belong to another entity, the university said, adding that they were being transported by a Tulane affiliated service. As you do, because we just. Also, this looks like a shipping container. It doesn't look. Oh, okay, there's the air conditioning unit. I was like, they just got one of those Go pods. And now, Tulane said in a statement to X on Tuesday evening that the monkeys were not infectious. Sure, Jan, I don't believe you, Tulane. The primates aren't infectious. We're actually collaborating with local authorities and will send a team of animal care experts to assist as needed. Now, Tulane stressed to the Independent that the monkeys have not been exposed to any infectious agent. As of Tuesday afternoon, all but one of the escaped monkeys had been destroyed. We've been in contact with the animal disposal company to help handle the situation. This also pisses me off because these monkeys, because there was a thing, now lost their lives. As much as I have simply just bitched for the last couple minutes about, releasing these animals don't deserve to pass away because we weren't doing our good job and doing good job as animal stewardship. Because Tulane didn't decide to give two craps or what have you, and something happened, I stop testing on animals. Could we do that? We have supercomputers. You guys are making AI girlfriends. I don't even want to know what Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink, and you're telling me we still have to test on animals that aren't even as genetically compatible to us as, other humans? I don't know. This is all around. This is how we get the zombie apocalypse. Y'all keep going, and it's going to be like the Jurassic Park movies. We'll just get dumber, bigger dinosaurs that do more damage, and people will be confused. So there you go. That being said, I'm pissed off that they had to destroy the monkeys too. So I'm just pissed about this entire, article in general. Mr. Mo's like, well, at least you're not crying. Because I seem to have two modes here lately. It's between I'm just pissed or I'm crying. And I'd like to tell you that both Mr. Mo and I like me staying in pissed off mode. Crying mode is not a mode either of us approve of. Now, an ex-Army sergeant has been sentenced for trying to give state secrets to China after a mental health spiral. Yeah, turning traitor after you basically swore your oath to the country and Constitution is indicative of some kind of spiral. A former Army sergeant who once held a top secret clearance at the Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington state has been sentenced Tuesday to 4 years in federal prison for attempting to provide national defense information to China. Now, Joseph Daniel Schmidt, 31, pled guilty in June to attempting to deliver and retain classified material, according to the Department of Justice. The U.S. District Judge John C. Coggenher also ordered 3 years of supervised release. Now, Schmidt's sentencing comes as U.S. authorities are warning of growing efforts by China to recruit or exploit former military personnel with access to sensitive information. As a retired Army officer, I find it unconscionable for former soldiers to put his colleagues and country at risk by peddling secret information and intelligence access to a hostile foreign power, Acting U.S. Attorney Charles Neil Floyd said. Now, Schmidt enlisted in 2015 and served in the Army's 109th Military Intelligence Battalion until 2020. Now, prosecutors said he had access to both secret and top secret systems and later contacted Chinese consular officials after leaving the Army. So this was definitely premeditated. He definitely kept this curated items and went to the, person he figured would sell or barter for these things with monetary or jewels. I don't know. I mean, he looks like he probably got paid in Pokemon cards. They probably were like, do you want Pokemon cards? And he was like, yes, all of them. Now, court records show that Schmidt created multiple documents based on classified material and offered them to Chinese security services. He also kept devices capable of accessing secure army networks, which prosecutors said he offered to those same Chinese officials. After leaving the army, Schmidt traveled to Hong Kong in March 2020 and continued to correspond with Chinese contacts. He lived there for more than 3 years before flying to San Francisco in October 2023, where he was arrested. Now, he pled guilty in June 2025 and was sentenced Tuesday in Seattle. Now, Cogginger, the judge, weighed in on the, quote, seriousness of Schmidt's crime and his mental health at the time, end quote. A DOJ spokesperson confirmed that the judge considered Schmidt's mental health as a mitigating factor during sentencing. The agency said that Schmidt's separation from the Army followed a mental health episode, and officials added that no classified material was believed to have reached China. Now, the agency said that Schmidt's separation... Oh, sorry, I read that. Now, the FBI and our partners will remain vigilant in our mission to safeguard the nation, said W. Mike Harrington, special agent in charge of the Seattle field office. Assistant U.S. Attorney Todd Greensberg said Schmidt created documents based on classified and national defense information, and he used his training to provide this information to Chinese security services. He knew what he was doing was wrong, but he was doing web searches for things like, can you be extradited for treason? Yeah, that's called premeditation and consciousness of guilt. Now, the FBI invested the case with the assistance provided from the U.S. Army Counterintelligence Command. The case was investigated by the local Seattle field office with the assistance from the Counterintelligence Command. Now, no one else has reached out for anything more about this. I'm guessing they're not going to release a whole hell of a lot because of the classified nature. But there you go. Don't sell things to China. I don't know. Could you be more tone deaf? I swear to goodness, what is wrong? Look, I don't consider myself an influencer because I constantly look around for a more adulty adult to, be the adult in the situation. And I'm getting to the point in my life where I realize I'm supposed to be that person and I don't like it. So far be it from me to ever take my very smallest channel and get a big ego from it. But why are you going to a country that's getting ready to have a hurricane and bitching about your vacation when real people might lose their lives and have lost their lives? An influencer is being slammed for bragging about flying to Jamaica during a deadly Hurricane Melissa. It's messing with my vacation. A moronic and thinking enthusiast, if not actually brain dead moron, influencer is getting blasted on social media for bragging about flying to Jamaica ahead of deadly Hurricane Melissa, the strongest Category 5 storm expected to ever, hit the island. Hannah Grubbs posted a slew of wild videos to TikTok and Instagram in recent days, boasting about riding out the potentially catastrophic storm at her resort. Hurricane Melissa out here messing with my vacation. She whined in one video of posting on her, hotel balcony. Just two girls headed to Jamaica in a Category 5 hurricane. She gloated alongside another clip of her strolling through the airport, pretending there's not like a Category 5 hitting Jamaica. Again, I just cannot with this woman. No, you are not important enough to take a trip to a place that's going to need every resource for the people that are already there. No, God, the universe, and even Hurricane Melissa doesn't care about your stupid ass vacation. And neither do I, and neither does the rest of the internet, which is why you're getting roasted, sweetheart. In case you don't understand how the internet works, you post something stupid. Now, me, I choose to, just be goofy and I don't really care what people think, but you're obviously posting stuff because you want people to like you. This is not it. Now, the social media personality was immediately hit with fierce backlash from those of us that think and, don't deal with, have an allergy to stupidity. Critics blasted her as tone deaf, videos mocking, and and just not quite understanding how actual seriously this is affecting people beyond vacations. People are about to lose everything they own, their loved ones, their lives. But yes, let's all take a moment of silence for Hannah's vacation, one person raged. I would feel so ashamed if people die in this hurricane after purposely traveling there when locals have no money to leave, another one said. Others ripped grubs for taking much needed resources that could have been used by Jamaicans in order to evacuate or hunker down. Now, Kay, but why fly in 2 days ago knowing it was waiting for you and now taking resources from people who could actually not leave, delivered to you by workers who can't be with their families? It's all just for content. People are really, really not liking this. Glad to know you're taking up their time to make sure that you're safe on your vacation instead of letting them get to their homes and secure them before they lose everything. Now, Grubbs has deleted the videos soon after the post reached out for comment. Her spate of controversial content came as forecasters warned the storm, the planet's strongest this year alone, was on track to pummel Jamaica Tuesday. Now, sustained winds of up to 175 miles per hour have already been recorded, and I was looking at the news. It does look like 5 to 7 people have already been confirmed to have lost their lives. I'm not clear with the exact numbers, but all the news I was pulling, it does look like there is confirmed loss of life already. So this is incredibly tone deaf and just gross. So we name and shame here. So you have been named and shamed by Judge Mommy cosplayer. I mean, I don't know if that made your day, but it made my day. A young woman's naked body has been found stuffed in a green duffel bag and dumped on a New York sidewalk. Now, this is going to be one to look at with the sensationality of it. I do believe when they do find someone, this is going to be a trial that really blows up because even in New York, this isn't, a normal thing. The body of a young naked woman was found stuffed in a duffel bag and dumped in a decaying section of East Harlem, where locals say they desperately need more police and resources. A neighborhood worker was clearing debris under the Metro North rail tracks are at 125th Street and Park Avenue around 7 p.m. Monday when they made the grisly discovery. This is the second time I know of them finding a dead body over there. Okay, I take that back. Maybe it's not a rare occurrence, but it's definitely something that I think I know this isn't supposed to be a political channel, but it's definitely something that the citizens of New York are going to have to look at when they think about the upcoming mayoral election. Now, I have no dog in the mayoral election of New York, but I do think that the rise in crime, the sort of ubiquity, I guess, the kind of routineness of this being here, they're going to need to decide whether they want to live in a city like this or a city different. And I don't know if these stories are going to change, but it's definitely something I pulled because this is going to be relevant for those that are living in New York with these kind of things coming out, with them getting more media coverage. It definitely is going to be something that they have to think about. Well, I mean, if you've got this much money lying around, I have bills or, stuff. A Titanic archive, including a rare first-class passenger list, is expected to sell for more than $100K at auction. So if you really love the Titanic and you have, $100K just lying around in your couch cushions, you can have real legitimate Titanic, memorabilia. A coveted archive belonging to a Titanic victim comprised of rare items tied to the ill-fated voyage, like a first-class passenger list, is expected to sell for upwards of $100,000 at an auction next month. Frederick Sutton, a 61-year-old first-class passenger from New Jersey, was buried at sea after the Titanic sank on April 14th, 1912. That's pretty interesting to have these in as relatively good condition as they are. While his body was never recovered, several of his belongings were salvaged from the wreckage and bequeathed to his surviving family, who held on to them for more than a century. Now his full collection is being sold at an auction in Devizes, Wiltshire on November 22nd. The items include the only known surviving first-class passenger list, as well as a chilling note from the White Star Line notifying Sutton's relatives that they would have to purchase a first-class ticket for the safe transport of his body should they have found it. What a douchey move. Like, I thought corporations currently sucked butt, but to have the Titanic, the unsinkable boat, and then it sinks, and then you go to surviving families. If you would like the body back, we're going to need another first class ticket. That's some heinousness of, well, just epic proportion. Now, Sutton's family was incorrectly informed that his body had been recovered and brought to Nova Scotia aboard the Mackay Bennett, according to Henry Aldridge and Son Auction House. Now, auctioneer Andrew Aldridge marveled at the archive, and it is one of the most complete collections of its type that the auction house has ever seen. To discover a first-class passenger list that was not only on board the Titanic but went into the water and actually survived is truly remarkable. The second element of the collection takes it to another level is the inclusion of the important note from the White Star Line. A surviving first-class passenger who sat next to Sutton during dinner the weekend before the Titanic sank reported that the older man hadn't been feeling well for a few days, according to the auction house listing. Now, Sutton was a married father of 3 and originally traveled to England in March of 1912 for unspecified health reasons and was returning home on the Titanic. And howdy, Super T. I am Judge Mommy today from the Darrell Brooks case. Now, some have speculated that Sutton became trapped in his room and possibly passed away in there, and others assume that he might have frozen to death or drowned after prolonged hours of treading waters, if he ever even made it overboard. That's still a bit of a mystery. Now, the auction will also feature a small collection of Sutton's personal effects that were recovered from the wreckage, including a gold seal ring bearing his initials and a silver whistle. A second batch of Sutton's items will be up for sale in April 2026, just in time for the 114th anniversary of the Titanic sinking. In April, a letter written by one of the surviving passengers sold for a whopping $399,000. In 2024, a postcard sent by a British tea broker who passed away sold for $25,000. So if you've got pennies, and you're a really big Titanic fan, here you go. Here's your Christmas gift, and possibly all of that. Well, today, 10 years ago, Pazuzu was, passed away. And if you don't know this case, this is a wild one, so buckle in. Notorious North Carolina, unaliver Pazuzu Allegrad passed away 10 years ago on October 28th. I might do a deep dive into Pazuzu. This is all the cray-cray. The dark story of Pazuzu Illa Algard came to an end 10 years ago today, but the impacts of his crime can still be felt in the Piedmont Triad. Algrad passed away in prison on October 28, 2015, just over a year after investigators had arrested him at the age of 35, and his self-proclaimed wife, Amber Nicole Birch, then 24, on one count each of murder and accessory after the fact to murder. Now, for years, the neighbors had spun rumors about the strange home on Knob Street Drive. Its windows blacked out, a yard hidden behind a fence, and outside of the house, a letter warded off law enforcement, a cross hung upside down, and a sticker carried a grim promise that evil will triumph, all omens of what truly lay inside. It was under that home where investigators would find the remains of Joshua Wetzler and Tommy Dean Welch. Exactly a month after the bodies were found, Algard's domain was revealed for the world to see. Videos from Forsyth County Housing and Community Development showed a sickening scene. Trash was littered so densely through the home that investigators couldn't get into certain rooms. A warning scribbled on a bathroom door said that each word you read would take another second off your life, and holes where bodies of his victims deteriorated for years, were in the structure. Now, John Alexander Lawson was born in San Francisco, California in December of 1978. He was raised primarily by his mother, Cynthia James, who had grown up in Forsyth County and graduated from Parkland High School. The pair moved back to North Carolina when John was just 2, and for years they were a pretty normal family. Cynthia said she first noticed a change in her son when she remarried. The pair and his new stepfather, Johnny, moved into the house on Nob Hill Drive in Clemens. But John and Johnny didn't always get along, and the boy became a bit of a recluse. Now, when the couple separated, neighbors said they started to see Johnny outside again, though he rarely went to school and repeated the ninth grade. Had to repeat both 2nd and 9th grades before dropping out. And he would later tell doctors in the 9th grade is when his phobia around people started. He admitted he was a poor student, typically receiving failing grades for his classwork, and would typically fight with other students, admitted being verbally disrespectful to teachers, but he began to then change his appearance. Yes, he went from this Doogie Howser to what in the hell? And why did you shave off your eyebrows? What in the Pink Floyd is up with people shaving off their eyebrows? Stop it. It looks really, really freaky to me. I need to be able to see even your hideous drawn-on eyebrows. Now he shaved off all his hair and began dressing himself in a style that evoked demons, to which he had grown obsessed with. He started looking for anything to help him cope with how he saw the world. A forensic evaluation showed that he had started regularly consuming both alcohol and other things at age 13. And his mother was worried about the people he was hanging out with. You know, and she does admit to maybe turning a blind eye to some of the things that he was doing. Now, James, decided to legally change his name from John to Pazuzu. And if you're wondering where you've heard Pazuzu before, it was in The Exorcist. That was the name of the demonic thing that got into Linda Blair and had her doing all of the things that, while I don't think it would have made me faint in a theater, it made it very uncomfortable to watch it with my mother. So I don't understand why people maybe passed out at The Exorcist, but I was very uncomfortable watching it with my mother. I'm just saying. Now, so that's where Pazuzu comes from. And his new surname, which I'm probably really, really butchering, was Illa Alagard, which translates from Arabic, meaning god of locusts. Because if you're going to be a god of something, why not locust? John the Baptist would love him. I don't think that's what he was going for, but there you are. Now, he said he didn't worship, Satan per se, but rather a dragon named Tiamat, as you do. It just gets weirder. Y'all, this is definitely going to be one that I'm going to have to make a longer story about, because this is a lot longer article than I looked at this morning. I didn't even think about Morticia. I was Judge Mommy from the Daryl Brooks case, but now that I think about it, I can just get a black dress and do the same thing. It's actually kind of good. So yes, I will be doing this for Halloween. I will probably be putting out this entire article as a standalone video, because this deserves a whole lot more stories and crazy. Yeah, he is all the crazy. So I will definitely, as soon as I'm done with Megan's stream today and we're done with a meeting we have to do, I will be getting on that. Now to the official what in the Walmart Rapture section, although I still contend that most of the stream is just going to be that. We have officially the weirdest stories that I've found, and or the regular everyday stories that just make us wonder, where in the world what are we doing with what timeline is this? Where are we going? What in the Matrix is wrong? We picked the wrong pill. Here's our stories for that today.
The key keeps its grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, twixt they descend at final from Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
don't swallow magnets. I didn't, they have warnings on them. And this is a teen boy, not like a toddler. So I have all the questions. And if this is related to anything TikTok, I'm done with humanity at this point. A young boy in New Zealand needed emergency surgery and lost part of his bowel after swallowing 80 small, high-powered magnets, doctors wrote in a new case report that was published in the New Zealand Medical Journal. Now, doctors say the boy swallowed between 80 to 100 neodymium magnets, so really, really powerful magnets. Again, this is a teenager, not a toddler. I have a lot of questions because while I expect my youngest, most feral to do this at 9 years old, I do not expect my 13-year-old to do this, so I have questions. Now, once they were inside his digestive tract, the magnets would clump together and then they would kind of pull separate parts of his bowels together. So basically blockaged and linked all of these parts together. Because you're not supposed to swallow these magnets. There's actually like PSAs about it. Now, after 4 days, and again, the fact that he waited 4 days means that some of those tissues already started to necrotize, went septic, a lot of bad things. So if you do swallow magnets for reasons known only to you, go quickly to the hospital. Do not wait 4 days. I don't know. Yes, if you swallow magnets, don't wait 4 days to tell a doctor. I got nothing with that one, you guys. Now, scans did show that they had formed 4 large chains in his abdomen, binding parts of his bowels together. Now, surgeons had to perform emergency operations to remove the magnets and the damaged tissue. He spent 8 days recovering in the hospital before being discharged. Now, New Zealand and Australia have banned sales of high-powered magnets, but experts say that the products are still widely available online with a few age restrictions. The boy told doctors he bought the magnet through online retailer Temu, and the company told CNN it could not verify that claim. You didn't even get real magnets from you got Temu magnets? Young man, I am glad that you are healthy. I am glad that you are safe. I need you to come to the front of the congregation and explain to me WTF, because I got all the questions. You bought Temu magnets and you decided to pop like 100 of them. I need some explanations. Now, again, basically you can still get these magnets, but you have to have an age restriction, which you would think teenager would be old enough to know not to swallow powerful magnets or really in any non-food item. You would think that would be kind of something that we would expect teenagers. I say that, but then I remember TikTok teenagers were eating Tide Pods. So I give up. Humanity is lost. I do hope that the sentient Twinkies and cockroaches who take over humanity or the earth do better than we did. Now, why these so basically, this is a warning. Don't swallow magnets. And for those of you with little kiddos, I know they have a lot of those magnetic tile things. Really make sure that they're not small enough for little kiddos to eat. My sons love the bigger tile blocks, but they do have really small magnets. Look, I'm not your mom. I'm not your grandma. I'm not even really Judge Mommy. But, be safe and be careful with what you're getting, for kids and everyone. But yeah, don't swallow magnets. I don't know why I should have to say this. Well, he wasn't exactly the Squid King game guy. Or no, I guess he's not exactly Squid King. I don't know. I never watched Squid Game. I confess. I confess that I've never watched it. I don't particularly want to, to be honest. A South Korean woman in her 50s thought she was in a romantic relationship with Squid Game star Lee Jung-jae and sent the online scammer who was claiming to be him over 50 million won or $350,000. With AI technology readily available, scammers are taking their operations to a whole new level. control, taking advantage of the gullibility of people who believe the craziest thing. Case in point, a 50-something-year-old woman from Miryang, South Korea, who thought she was in a long-distance relationship with the Squid Game protagonist, Lee Jung-jae, after being contacted by someone claiming to be the actor on social media. Just like I get a lot of people on X that claim to be Elon Musk. I'm guessing Elon Musk has more than 400 followers. So I always, take it and, do whatever. But I do wonder, like, if anyone actually thinks that they're talking to like the real Elon Musk. I think I got one from the guy from Nickelback, Chad Kroger or whatever his name. And as much as I make fun of Nickelback, I started laughing my ever living tits off because I make fun of him like every other week. So there you go. If you're getting contacted by anyone famous on the internet, it is probably not that famous person. I hate to break it to you. I was hoping that the Nickelback guy would stay and listen to my critiques of his song, but he did eventually block me. I had great fun though. I was like, I love your song. And he's like, babe, we have a bunch. I was like, no, you don't. And then I was like, look at this photograph. It says you have only one song. It was just... when you annoy the people that are trying to troll you, it's hilarious. Anywho, this is what Mr. Mo has to live with all the time. Anyway, this scammer used AI generated images of the actor and managed to get close enough to the woman, only referred to by by the South Korean media, to ask for considerable sums of money. This actor, Lee Jung-jae, I reached out to communicate with fans, the scammer told the woman first when they approached on social media. Then as they became familiar, the conversation moved to the messaging app Kyoko Talk. Now the scammer began referring to the woman as honey and sweetie, and that made her feel like the Squid Game guy had just developed a romantical, relationship with her. Dear Lord, do not look, if they do, it'll be fine. Just don't give them money. Ask for an autograph. Tell them that gifts would be nice. Now, if we weren't so sure that we were in the end times, this proves it to me. I have no hope for humanity anymore. The breast milk ice cream brand just created an even more disturbing snack. What could be worse than human lactation byproducts frozen and fed? It's Soylent ice cream. Why? Parent lifestyle brand behind the viral breast milk flavored ice cream is back with yet another odd, allegedly sweet treat. On Monday, October 27th, Frida launched Boogie Bites candy, booger-inspired candy said to resemble the real thing. I need to see video of the product testing. Did they get like a range? Was there like a sommelier list of boogers? Like, was there snotty, crusty, flaky, stuck? Why? Why humanity? Why? Just in time for booger season, or rather cold and flu season, the brand is giving you a whole new, less gross way to eat your boogers. Why? Frida's Snot Season Special launched in a bid to promote their nasal aspirator, the Nose Frida, that parents can use to remove nasal congestion in babies and young children. And you're going to be more horrified because this is actually a whistle which you suck the baby's snot into a tube. Frida, you need to stop. Stop it. I demand a cease and desist. I pretend to be a judge today and I say stop. Now, though little kids are typically the ones that put boogers in their mouth, these gummies will give parents permission to feed their inner child, as well as give their kids a germ-free, tastier alternative. No, none of this needs to exist. Boogers are gross, but Frida knows the grossest moments are most universal, the product description reads. These sweet and sour gummies come in 3 shapes and sizes and were crafted with the input of actual booger eater. I quit. I quit. I can't. I'm done. While they were inspired by the real thing, Boogie Bites are not made with actual boogers. Wonderful. The ingredient list includes tapioca sugar, cane sugar, distilled water, pectin, ascorbic acid, citric acid, natural flavor, turmeric, spirulina, salt, and fruit and vegetable juice for color. Now they're slightly sweet and a little salty and packed with vitamin C. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I'm done. This cannot be. No. Why? Why? Now, they will be available at most consumer goods delivery services for just $3.99. Now, they will also be available to customers in New York City, Los Angeles, Houston, Chicago, Miami, Dallas, Boston, and Philadelphia. Oh, well, they missed Indiana. Safe, yet again, by the ruralness. Thank God. Good Lord. Just... No. I can't. And this is from the company that made breast milk. And I do mean from like actual lactating human women ice cream. Frida, stop it. You have been kindly cease and desisted. Stop. You will stop now. Because I can't. In good What in the Walmart news, a 13-year-old has invented a new technology to help his family, and it actually works, which is good because, you know, we have scientists working on booger candy, and we've got this 13-year-old boy who's actually making something functional. What timeline are we in? At just 13 years old, Kevin Tang is establishing himself in the world of science and senior care, all with the goal of keeping his grandmother safe. The Southern California 8th grader just won a $25,000 award and the title of America's top young scientist for his fall detection invention monitoring device for seniors. Now, it's different from a Life Alert and other brands that offer devices for seniors to wear around their necks, in their pocket, or on their wrist. Kevin's invention, Fall Guard, is a camera monitoring system with an algorithm that he programmed to identify falls and alert caregivers. So basically, you wouldn't have to wear a device. You would simply have to put up this array of cameras, and it would be able to alert without having to have any device on you. Now, Kevin's device isn't wearable. Instead, users set up a Fall Guard camera system around their home that connects to a small computer to monitor for falls. Now, he's working to keep his device free, or at least on the cheaper side for anyone who needs it. Kevin is always inventing and making strange stuff at home, his father, Yang Tang, told USA Today. He didn't know his son was working on this project at first, but knew it was a good idea when Kevin showed it to him. Good, Dad, for encouraging him even when you don't know what's going on. That explains it. Falls, not balls. And I like your new picture. It's cute. Yes, give this child all the money he needs. Let's give them all the money that they spent for the booger candy. Now, Tang thought about his other friends who were worried about their aging parents and whether Kevin won the award or not. His father told him, "We will definitely make this product to help them all." Now, Kevin said his grandmother, who does live with his family, fell at home about 5 years ago. Nobody noticed immediately, and by the time we found her and called 911, she was left with some permanent brain damages, and it was really scary. A few years later, Kevin and his friend's grandfather fell too, and that's when he realized how common and incredibly dangerous that falls can be. And I would get this for myself as well. As much as I joked about it last week, there was nothing more terrifying than being far away from my phone and realizing I could fall. And because Mr. Mo has done a great job soundproofing the room, no one could really hear me. So if this is something that can help everyone, I say it's a great idea. And I'm glad there are kids out there, as much as kids are, trying to fly to Jamaica, during a hurricane. There's also young people like this who are doing things and don't always get you know, the attention they need. So that's why I like to bring these ones up. Now, falls are the leading cause for injuries for adults 65 and older, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. More than 14 million, or 1 in 4 older adults, report falling every year, and there are about 1 million or more fall-related hospitalizations each year among aging adults. Falls are the most common cause for traumatic brain injuries as well. Now, Kevin said it took a while to develop his fall detection algorithm. Once he became a finalist in the 3M Young Scientist Challenge and was paired with a mentor, Mark Gilbertson, he worked to ensure that the device could function at nighttime. He's detecting your shoulder position, your elbow joint, using some AI algorithms, and then built his own algorithm on top of that to determine when you fell over, Gilbertson explained. Now, Kevin's device doesn't require a subscription like other fall detection systems, and it just works all the time. You don't have to wear it, Kevin said. His friend's grandfather who fell had a watch with a fall detection, monitor on it, but since he forgot to charge it the day before, he fell and no one was alerted until the next day. It cost about $90 in material to make one device, Kevin says, but he's going to try to bring it down to at least $30 by using a different computer. Since he won the National Science Fair competition, he said at least one security camera company has shown interest in his model and, maybe partnering with him. Many individuals have told them that they want the device when it's production ready. Now, the Tangs have fall guards set up in their home now, and another family is using the device as well. Kevin has more than 10 families waiting on a list to get one of these, and is hoping to be able to speed up production and help more people soon. So this is definitely one of the really cool things that kids are doing. And if we might be okay. Now it's time for some naming and shaming because, like I said, it's basically nothing but naming and shaming today and one in the Walmart rapture. So let's get in for that because we've got a lot here, y'all. A lot.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop lordship from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Trippy's coming and he don't play games.
I have no words. A distraught mother tried to drown 3 young children at a $3 million Texas mansion after she was unable to flee her miserable marriage, is what she told police. A mother of 3 tried to end her own life and that of her young children in a pond on her family's Texas estate after being unable to flee her marriage, police have said. Jessica Quintanilla, 39, is accused of attempting to take her own life and her 3 children, aged 6, 11, and 15, after loading them up on tequila and NyQuil late last month. Sheriff deputies swarmed the $3 million Liberty County mansion where she lives with her husband, Domingo, 61, after being called to reports of an attempted drowning. Now, the 3 children were found near the pond alongside their father. Their mother, this woman, remained in the water. Now, prosecutors have since revealed that the alleged drowning and poisoning was a backup plan devised by Quintanilla to flee the isolated rural estate. Now, according to Liberty County District Attorney Jennifer Berman, Quintanilla's 15-year-old daughter told investigators that her mother had formulated this plan over a while and that she also had another one. The first plan A, was to pack up and leave home. When that failed, she loaded up the children on cough syrup and booze and led them to the water. Now, we are obviously probably dealing with some mental health stuff, but no. This woman is dangerous, and part of prison, once she gets her due process, is keeping her disordered thinking from hurting anyone else. She's already hurt the people closest to her We can have no trust as a society that she is going to not hurt anyone else if her disordered thinking comes forward. I am full of compassion for disordered thinking, but I'm also full of, keeping the community safe. Now, Tania is alleged to have poisoned the children until they felt really fuzzy before leading them to the water. Besides, this is all grossly premeditated. This was not disordered thinking that she thought the second coming was here. No, she plotted and detailed how to make these children vulnerable. So yes, this was a calculated and cruel measure because she couldn't get away, so she wanted her husband to suffer. In my speculation, I haven't gotten deep into this case, but those are my hot thoughts for now. Now, it remains unclear at this time what stopped them from being able to leave the address and why Quintanilla was so keen to leave. Now, the charging documents revealed that she was formally charged with 2 counts of injury to a child and 1 count of attempt to commit aggravated assault. Bergman told reporters, therefore, on the wee early morning of September 29th, Miss Quintanilla carried out Plan B. She instructed the children to drink a mix of alcohol and NyQuil, and she would roll them into the water once they were knocked out. We know that they consumed these substances based on both medical and toxicological records and witness statements. Now, Quintanilla and her 3 children were all rescued and spent weeks in the hospital. She was charged and arrested on Friday morning as she was released from the hospital. Now, according to Captain Dave Myers of the Liberty County Sheriff's Office, Quintanilla was unconscious and unresponsive when she was pulled from the water. They pretty much went into the water together, and based on the evidence that we have, it was their intent that they all, succumb to drowning and not wake up, or at least that was the mother's intent. Again, with the children being minors, I don't know that we're going to get any of their testimony pre-trial. I doubt we will. This will be a closely guarded case. This is going to be a big case, though. I mean, this is unconscionable, and it has that absolute unreality of a mother being a perpetrator and trying to be a family annihilator. So this is going to be a big case. But I do foresee there being, a bigger story behind this, and it's going to be one of these cases to watch. Now, when questioned by reporters, Bergman refused to elaborate on what was going on between Quintanilla and her husband. She did add, as of today, the father of the children will not be charged with the current, self-deletion red rum plot. Her husband, Domingo, was charged with an unrelated animal abuse case and made his own appearance in court last week. The 3 children were released to the custody of Child Protective Services, who then handed them over to family members. Now, court records show that Domingo was named in multiple civil lawsuits, including complaints that he owes thousands of dollars in property taxes. He's also been accused of failing to pay contractors hundreds of thousands of dollars in labor costs for their work on the Rancho Monte Carmelo. Now, they've apparently lived on this particular, big old property since 2017. The children were not enrolled in school, with Myers telling the media that they hadn't been enrolled in school for a while. Now, additional records highlighted that there was at least one 911 call previously for alleged DV, possibly in the residence, but it was unclear if that involved the Quintanilla family or if that was another resident, cousins, or what have you. So definitely, this is going to be a case to look at. And unfortunately, it's not the only mother drowning case we have upcoming. It just seems like there's an epidemic of these things, unfortunately. Another case to look up or to, keep in mind as trials are coming up, a bully tech tycoon. I love that I know English. Tycoon was murdered by laborers after bragging about his wealth and forcing them to do 500 push-ups, the court hears. Or this is currently going on, so I will have to look into that, Wolfram. There might be other taxes from something, but it does look like, and maybe it was for a property outside of Texas. I'm not quite sure. A tech tycoon who was abducted, stabbed, and shot to death in Central California had bullied and humiliated his employees ahead of his, red rum, the court heard. Tashore Atri, 50, was dragged out of bed in his Santa Cruz beach home around 3 a.m. on October 1st, 2019, by a group of men who had broken into his plush $5.4 million residence. The men, two of whom were his employees, kidnapped and stabbed the millionaire before, shooting him and leaving him for dead 14 miles away in the rural mountain area. They also stole thousands of dollars in cash from a safe in his home. Now, Stephen Nicholas Lindsay and Curtis Charters were convicted of murder and related charges in trials earlier this year. KRON has reported they were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Now, Charters' younger brother, Caleb Charters, and their friend Joshua Camps have also been charged in Atri's death. Now, the younger Charters was back in court Monday as experts and witnesses testified before the jury, alleging that the men had been quote-unquote humiliated at the hands of the tech honcho. Now, Atri, who bagged about being worth, thousands of dollars an hour, forced Lindsay and Caleb to perform between 300 to 500 push-ups in order to receive their $1,400 paychecks, according to his assistant, Sam Borges. He sounds like a douche. He didn't deserve, douchery does not deserve a death sentence. Now, Lindsay and Caleb, who were both former members of the Army National Guard, were hired to work at his marijuana farm in August of 2019. Now, for his part, Borges, the assistant, was a graduate of the University of California, Santa Cruz, and had been hired to manage the cannabis business. Now, Atri was known to push his employees very hard, invoke fear, and would frequently yell or withhold pay and fire workers if he felt he had been disrespected, according to his assistant. Caleb and Lindsay performed manual labor on his farm for nearly 2 weeks, working from sunrise to sunset. During their employment, the assistant was tasked with driving the duo approximately 300 miles to Humboldt County to purchase hundreds of marijuana plants. Now, Atri had given them $25,000 in cash to carry out the transaction. The business manager explained that the pair, after receiving their pay for work, were told they needed a break because the work was very intense. Now, after Caleb and Lindsay left, it emerged that keys from a farm truck were missing, and he assumed that the pair had taken them. So obviously, it looks like there was a lot of bad blood. Tashar got really upset. Tashar called the bank and bounced the check. The assistant said. The duo returned to the farm, located the keys at the property, and confronted Atri about the bounced check. Atri allegedly bragged about his wealth to the duo and highlighted how anyone who wastes his time is costing him money, and ordered them to do hundreds of push-ups, the court heard. Just weeks later, in September 2019, the pair approached the assistants and requested the security code for their boss's home. They allegedly planned to rob the tech tycoon. Now, the assistants believed that they were joking and provided them with a fake code. Or maybe, they're trying to rob your employer. You tell your employer he's kind of a dick. He seems to inspire, acts of vengeance from people. Maybe you give them a little heads up. Now, Charters drove Lindsay and Cramps, along with his brother, to Atri's beach house on October the 1st and dropped them off, driving away. Surveillance cameras captured Atri running down a street with his hands apparently tied behind his back, screaming for help as he was tackled by the trio and stabbed a bit. And it looks like, they were not smart about this. Now, Lindsay Camp and Curtis Charters forced Atri into a stolen BMW and took him to his cannabis farm in the mountains. Caleb Charters was waiting for them to arrive at the property. Now, Camps shot Atri in the back of the head, and the group left him for dead. His body was found about 20 to 30 yards away from the stolen BMW just several hours later. So they did not, hide this. This wasn't unnoticed. He was bound with flex ties, and, that was led into evidence. The inside and outside of the BMW was also full of, trace and blood evidence. In the days following the murder, Lindsay and Caleb Charters deposited cash into their personal bank accounts and attempted to use his banking details to pay their bills. Yeah, how to look suspicious all of a sudden. Caleb Charters has pled not guilty to first-degree murder. He was also charged with burglary, robbery, kidnapping, and carjacking. His attorney argued that though Charters agreed to participate in the burglary, he never intended to be charged with murder. Oh, we're doing the Sarah Boone defense. Unintentional. The defense told the court that his accomplices diverted from the plan, which was to break into the home of the tycoon when he was out of town, steal cash and in the vehicle. Now, Charters dropped the trio off and went to the meeting place at the farm, the defense argued, where it was only there that he learned of the change of plans. You know, it went from robbery to a bit of kidnapping to a whole lot of felonious murder. Now, Charters' trial will continue Tuesday, and Camp's trial will be paused and will resume after the jury reaches a verdict in this current trial. Yeah, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. Internationally, what in the Walmart rapture, Britain? Britain deports an Ethiopian child grossness offender wrongly freed after last week. Yes, as a UKophile, I have been watching this story unfold and wanted to wait until there was a bit of a resolution at the end before I brought it out. But it looks like this gross, disgusting, corroded human piece of garbage is getting deported. Britain on Wednesday confirmed that it has deported to Ethiopia a convicted child grossness person who was erroneously freed last week instead of being transferred to an immigration center. I have pulled every lever to deport Mr. Kabuto. I'm probably mispronouncing his name, but he's a purveyor and, abuser of child grossness. I'm kind of okay with not knowing his name right. And removed him off of British soil. I am pleased to confirm that this vile, gross person has been deported. Now, Hashush Kabuto was an Ethiopian national who was convicted in April of assaulting a 14-year-old girl in Epping, Essex, which is part of the London metropolitan area. Now, on Friday, instead of being transferred to an immigration removal facility and deported back to Ethiopia, he was mistakenly released into the community. A manhunt involving several law enforcement agencies was launched and resulted in Kabuto's arrest on Sunday. Now, Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, I have thoughts on him. They are not good. He is a thinking enthusiast. But again, I have no dog in the UK political fight, so whatever I hot take think about him doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But I think he's a thinking enthusiast, if not a real brainiac, if you know what I mean. Now, I am livid on behalf of victims and the public that this mistake was allowed to happen, he said in a statement. Now, Kabuto gained national attention when his arrest in July sparked protests near a London hotel where he had been staying. So if you guys are not really aware of what's going on in the UK right now, there is a big sort of a popular uprising against these what they call channel migrants, people who are coming from Calais after traveling all through a bunch of other safe areas to kind of go and illegally emigrate into the UK. And what the UK government has done is start putting them in hotels, regardless if those hotels are maybe near primary schools, so think grade schools. And there's been a noticeable pattern of these new migrants not understanding the cultural norms of not attacking young children just because you want them, or, they're not dressed halal-y enough for you. So this led to a big protest. And in fact, the locality of Epping, their town council, was able to go against the so think state government versus federal government. They were basically able to tell the federal government that they wanted the hotel housing migrants to shut down because due to their housing rules, the kind of purpose of what the hotel was being used for was never legally changed or legally petitioned to be changed. So it was being used as a tourist attraction, and the federal government just kind of took it over, but didn't, petition for this, hotel to become a migrant housing facility, which is basically what these have become. Now, the federal government or, the Home Office did not like that. So that was reversed, but it's leading to a lot of resentment. You are seeing things pop off in Ireland. You are seeing things pop off in the UK. You are seeing things pop off. This is something, if you are planning a UK or European trip, you really need to be kind of cognizant of how politically things are going on in the rest of the world. Or you can just be a news nerd like me and want to know everything about everything. But that being said, I didn't want to bring you this story until he had been found and there was some sort of resolution. Now he has been, deported, but I don't know if that will stop him from trying to come back again to the UK. I'm not sure, and there doesn't seem to be systems in place to stop that right as of now. Now, why would you do this? Why would you go into Chuck E. Cheese? Although I still contend as a child of the late 80s that Showbiz was better. So, come at me, bro. But I will always give my loyalty to Showbiz Pizza, not, Chuck E. Cheese. My kids can't sleep now. A teen went into Chuck E. Cheese with a force multiplier and threatened multiple people in front of terrified children and parents. Why would you do this? Why would you go into a Chuck E. Cheese? A South Carolina teenager entered a Chuck E. Cheese last weekend and wielding a force multiplier and pointed it at a worker's head, and two others threatening them and holding one man against his will in front of terrified children and parents, according to police and the patrons that were there. My kids can't sleep now, said an anonymous Midlands father who spoke with a local Fox affiliate, WACH, about the incident Saturday. That's the only time I felt like I wanted to cry because my babies, I saw pure fear in their eyes, the father recounted. They've never been in that kind of situation before. Now, the man was with his wife and children at Chuck E. Cheese's. And Kim Dodd says the dude wandered around in town with his prison tracksuit and clear plastic bag of his stuff in the public. He's lucky he was able to be deported back to Ethiopia. I'm surprised because you don't mess with people's kids. It's like a fundamental thing. If you want things to pop off, if you want to get mama bear and craziness, mess with someone's kids. It's just not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I do not recommend it. And I'm surprised he was able to be deported. Now, this Chuck E. Cheese was in Colombia when police say that Traveras McFadden World, 19, entered the kids' entertainment and restaurant establishment with a force multiplier on Saturday and started pointing it at people inside. According to the Richland County Sheriff's Department, at least 3 people were threatened, including one employee, and one of them was taken hostage. Now, an individual who was at Chuck E. Cheese pulled his own firearm and pointed it at McFadden World, which prompted him to flee, but not before he allegedly dropped his force multiplier and scattered bullets across the floor. My wife felt powerless, the father told the outlet. She was just holding my girls tight, and she knew there was nothing we could do. McFadden World allegedly got into a car of another teenager, Kenzie Miller, after fleeing from the Chuck E. Cheese and left the scene. Now police were called and started investigating the incident when the pair eventually returned and were detained without incident. Why would you return to the scene of your crime? You are fleeing the scene of said crime, and you're like, dang, I forgot my force multiplier. I got to go get that.
They are expensive.
Now, Chuck E. Cheese has not responded to Law and Crime's request for comment, but definitely the father and patrons are wondering, why the teenager wasn't checked for, a force multiplier, and maybe kind of strategizing up to maybe do a lawsuit. And the thing is that I mean, are we going to start doing this for all the soft targets in our world? Are we going to start asking companies to, have to invest more in our safety, to have, force multiplier scanners at Chuck E. Cheese's? I mean, these are not sort of rational things that you think about, but are we going to now add regulations that, Chuck E. Cheese's now need to have, force multiplier scanners? Are we going to do that for Walmart's now? I mean, where is it going to end? And, what do we have to do here? It does seem like maybe putting the blame on the Chuck E. Cheese is a little far-fetched when all of this started because a teenager wanted to be a jackass. Now, McFadden World is facing charges of kidnapping, assault, and battery, and 3 counts of pointing and presenting a force multiplier, along with tampering with evidence. The woman who picked him up, Kenzie Miller, is being charged with obstruction of justice. Now, they were both booked into the Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center, and McFadden World is being held on a $75,000 bond, while Miller's status was more unclear. So there you go. Again, don't go into, anywhere with a force multiplier for, no reason. Why? And that's not what I wanted. Well, I have got, because it is Halloween, if you don't have, your Halloween costume yet, New York Post has ripped, 12 viral 2025 news costumes straight from their own thing. So given inflation, instability, and anxiety about AI, 2025 has already been scary enough, and we haven't even hit Halloween. The spooky season might be best to ditch a costume one, poking fun at some of the head-scratching things that have already taken place this year. Maybe, inciting more humor than horror this year. And don't fret, there's no shortage of wild moments and wacky public figures to inspire your imagination. A team of writers and editors from the Post played dress up to prove you can creatively turn one of these year's biggest newsy moments into a hot Hollywood ensemble. Oh, okay. Any better? Okay. It's not doing it. Okay, let me stop the stream. Is it sounding any better? Talk now. Okay, well, is the internet doing better? I was going to stop the stream and start another one. Okay. Okie dokie. Is that any better? All right. That's got it? So it's better now? Okie dokie. All right. Well, let me pull this back up. Thanks for reminding me I can just step out of the thing because I was going to start a whole new stream. But here you go. So we have the costumes that you can wear if you don't happen to have a whole stable of wigs like I do. If so, what are you doing with your life? Dang it.